Javant Benton, Javantbenton, is a healthy eating and lifestyle advocate whose message online to hundreds of thousands of people is simple but powerful. And the message is, what you eat matters. But his story didn't start there. He tells the story that he was overweight, that he was eating food made with love, but food that wasn't necessarily healthy. He was living a life that felt normal, except that it wasn't. And a health scare changed things. And what stands out in his story is that Mr. Javant Benton made a decision to change. He chose to study, to learn, to adjust. He chose to act. And as a result, he went from sick and reactive to proactive. And today, he's not only healthier, he's helping others to do the same with the release of his new cookbook titled Make Your Own. Now, you may think that this podcast is about food recipes, ingredients, and vegan versions of familiar meals. But it's not. This podcast is about something deeper. It's about change, how people change, because most of us don't change because we're told to. Most of us change when the desire to change, for example, to eat healthier, feels possible, when it feels doable. And that's what Javant does so well. He makes eating healthy feel accessible. He shows you that you can have a healthier diet without losing taste or flavor, without losing those familiar home-cooked, traditional, well-seasoned meals. That you can have a healthier diet without losing yourself, your history, your comfort foods. And that matters because change doesn't usually start with discipline. Change starts when the possibility of change is seen. And once we understand that, then we can start to see how this might apply in other areas. And that brings me back to women's health. I am a board certified OBGYN, and I talk a lot about women's health, particularly fibroids. And why fibroids? Well, fibroids are one of the most common health conditions affecting women. And yet, despite how common they are often managed in a way that looks very different from how we approach health care in other areas. When Javant had his health issue, he didn't wait. He didn't normalize it. He didn't delay. He studied, he learned, he adjusted, he acted early. In women's health, the pathway is often different in that we are guided by recommendations. We follow established protocols. We are told when to act and when to wait, especially when we're talking about fibroids. And that raises an important question. And that question, is there room for both? Is there room for medical guidance, medical recommendations, medical protocols, and also room for earlier, more informed, self-directed awareness? Because it's not that we women aren't willing to change. Many of us are looking for changes in women's health care. We just haven't consistently been shown what early proactive changes would look like. We haven't seen it clearly enough, early enough, or often enough. And maybe this early is exactly the space where you can think differently. So I'm not saying instead of medical care, but alongside medical care, because surgery may not be the whole story, and there may be opportunities available earlier on. And so what needs to happen is we need to understand what's going on in our bodies, what's causing the changes. We need to ask different questions. We need to consider different approaches to move, to act, to treat, not just when things get worse, but before. And that's what Mr. Javant Benton demonstrates. Because it wasn't just a change in diet, it was a shift in mindset from reacting to a problem to asking, what can I do now before it gets worse? Good question. Really good question. So Javant, I appreciate the conversation we had. I appreciate what it sparked. Your work is helping people to see that change is possible, and that matters. Change is possible. because the more we can see what's possible, the more we can begin to ask, and where else does this apply? His cookbook, Make Your Own, makes change in eating feel real, practical, and accessible. And perhaps the next step for all of us is to expand that same thinking into spaces where we haven't fully done that yet, including women's health.